Hello everyone. Welcome to the webinar about IntelliPID Sketching in UniversalPlantViewer. My name is Christina Rech. I am product owner for IntelliPID inside UPV and also for other products, and I welcome you to this webinar. Feel free to place your questions and comments in the chat window or in the question window. I will try to answer them as good as possible, and if not, I will answer them later via email, the way we always do it with the questions from the webinars. On the agenda for today, we have, of course, in the middle the topic of sketching inside the PID. I will talk about placing sketch objects like regular objects, also about how can we use existing objects and copy them into the sketch. I will also talk about the possibility to place labels and comments on top of these objects. And a feature which is quite new is the possibility to see the list of the objects which were placed, but also, and a very important one, is to hide objects which are in the original PID file. Yeah. In addition, we will see how it is possible to export a sketch to a PDF file, because it's very important to have those available for other people. And also to save and reload the files that we have created. In UniversalPlantViewer, the save and reload is file-based, but using another tool, which is called Workflow System, in conjunction with the browser-based UPV, you can also save your sketches and other object types, document types like markups and so on in a database, and then it is pretty easy to communicate with UPV to see and visualize those files. I have a few slides which I will show, and later on, as usual, it will be a live demonstration. As you can see here, it is possible to create sketches for 3D, but also for PID. So today we are talking about PID sketches. And we have a list of objects which can be placed. They can be regular objects like circle, rectangle, valve, line, and so on. But it's also possible to select objects from a catalog. And then we have additional commands which would allow us, for instance, to copy objects, but I will talk about that in a moment. So for the placed objects, especially if they come from the catalog, it is possible to scale them and to rotate them. These functions are available with actually two possibilities. One of them is to use the attribute window and to key in the information into the parameters, for instance, for rotation and scale. But it is also possible to use the commands which are available, so that you can just rotate by dragging the object. It will rotate 45 degrees, but you can also use the mirror function that you see here on top if you want to just mirror horizontally or vertically. As I already mentioned, it is also possible to copy existing objects. So you can select one or more items, and then you can use the copy command to copy them from the original PID to your sketch environment. And then you can continue working with those elements which will have the information that they are copied inside their internal parameters. Of course, for the PID, it is very important to also work with labels or texts in general. And here we have two possibilities. One of them is to use attributes values and drag them to a certain position near the object, and then the text will reflect the attribute value, as you see here. And the second option is to select the object and to add what we call a comment. And then you can put any text inside that comment, and it will also be visible inside the sketch. It depends on you if you want to see those texts with leader line or not. I will show this in a few moments. A new function which was added probably a year ago is that it is possible to see for the PID the list of sketch items. In the past, this was a function available on the 3D side, but not on the PID side. And also a very important function is that you can select original objects and then use these commands here to hide them, display the hidden objects. This is a toggle which is on or off. But also you can select hidden objects and then use the third button to revert the status, and then they will just revert to original objects the way they were in the original snapshot. Of course, the sketch objects are also available for reporting. So if you create a report which will display, for instance, the name of an object, the drawing to which it belongs, the name of the symbol, and also you want to know is it a sketch item or not, you can easily create such a report, and then you can visualize from the report the objects in graphics in the same way like you can do it with any other regular object. A very important feature, of course, is the possibility to export your design to a PDF. And with that possibility, you can, of course, give it to other people who are interested. You can print it out and eventually use it for other tools like 3D design and so on as a basis. And the export will take care about all the hidden objects. And of course, it will display also on the PDF all the objects which were placed in the sketch. And the PDFs, they are searchable. So if you search for a certain text, you can find the original labels, but you can also find the labels that you have placed directly within the sketch. In UPV, we have, of course, a possibility to save and reload sketches. So if you want to save your design, you can use the save command, select whatever you want to save and put it on the file system. And then a file will be created which is called UPVF. It contains the complete content of the graphic that was placed, but also the information on objects that were eventually hidden in the original PID, which will not appear later on. And of course, there is the opposite command, which is called open. In reality, what it does, it allows you to select a sketch that was saved, and the sketch will be reloaded on top of the drawing. It is mandatory that you use the same drawing when you reload the sketch, which means there is an internal connection between the drawing name and the sketch, so it is not possible to reload a sketch to another drawing. The next thing that I'm going to talk about and also show in the live demonstration is the possibility to save sketches in the workflow system. The workflow system is another tool that we have created, which allows users to work, I think, more easy with sketches, markups, and other files that they want to store. Of course, it is available for 3D data as well. And it is actually a database which can be used to create what we call workflows or tickets. So internally, we just call them tickets. So here you see I have a list of tickets like revamp for a heat exchanger, some 3D rework, and so on. And always it is possible to see to whom this ticket was assigned, what type the ticket is. It can be a change request, it can be a work order, and so on. It can have a due date, and later on I will show in the live demo what the color of this due date means and how this can be changed and modified. And the very important part here is that we have a direct connection to UPV. So for each of these tickets, we can associate, of course, a data set, which means a package that we can use inside UPV. And then we can open UPV, create, for instance, a sketch as you see here, and save it related to the ticket. And then automatically you will have the possibility to see the sketch as a kind of a little preview window here. But of course, you can also access all the other information which is related to that ticket. You can send it to other people so that they can have a look. And they can also open UPV and see what has been sketched by another user. So this is more or less what I'm going to show in the live demo. And now we have reached the point to go and start. So first, I'm going to open UPV, and inside UPV, I'm going to open a PID. So you see here the original PID with all the objects, with their attributes and so on. And here, I'm going to go to the tree, and inside the tree, I'm creating a PID sketch. The PID sketch has an edit command which will open the sketch, and then we can start to work here. Of course, it is nice to change the color, so I'm going to use, in this case, magenta. And then I will just start by placing a new line, and I will go here into this corner, and from this corner I will go lower, and then I will go up to the other corner. As you see, we have those little help lines available so that it's very easy to go to the right location. And then we can start to place objects inside this line. So I'm going to use a circle, and if we have a look at the attributes, you can see that this is a regular object. It is really called circle, even though it looks like a pump. In reality, it's just a circle. But of course, we could give it the name of a pump if we want. But I also want to show you some other features. For instance, it's possible to stretch this object, make it larger, make it smaller. But it is also possible to use existing objects like the pump that you have here on top. We have a copy function available, which would allow us to copy this object down here. It takes some of the data from the original file, and we know that it is a copied item. Probably in this case, the most interesting solution would be to work with objects that come from a catalog. So I have a catalog here. These catalog objects, they were created with kind of a migration from SmartSketch or SmartPID. SmartPID is also the source of the original PID data. And I can use, for instance, this pump. I can place it here. It will also break the line the same way like the other ones do. And here, as you can see, we have the possibility to use, for instance, a rotate factor. I could rotate it 180 degrees, and then it will just turn. I could rotate it back just by clicking 0. And I can also use the scale factor. If I want to make it a little bit larger, it will react on the scale factor that you have here. And there is also a mirror possibility from the attribute point of view. And of course, we can give this pump a name. We could call it P103. And then we could use the label function, which means we can drag the name and place it down here. And if we don't want to see this little line, which we call the leader line, we can just deactivate it by taking it away from the list of items over here. So as you see, we placed our new pump, we placed the label, and we can continue, for instance, to place a valve. we can also increase the size of the valve if we want with the same method, for instance to 1.5. We can give the valve a name or just take it as it comes with 344, place it here. And what I also want to show you, even though these objects are placed, it is possible to move the complete content to another position. It will take all the connected objects and move them. I also want to show you that it is possible to use also items which have labels inside. So if I want to place some instrument over here, make it a little bit larger, I can do that. And then you see it has an attribute called function. So I could call it PI. And then I could eventually also key in a sequence number like 1, 2, 3, and they will reflect inside the object. And of course, I can connect it with a line so that it connects to the bottom here so that we have this connection as well. As I already mentioned, these sketch items, they are saved and we have a possibility to see them in the list of sketch items. And if we double click on each of them, the software will just jump to the next one and we can see the valve, we can see the instrument, and it is very easy to access them because the list is available here. Another function that I think is interesting to know, that you can also select existing items from the original graphic, and you can use the hide button if you want to hide them. So now they are not shown anymore. There is this toggle here which will activate those items, and then eventually you could take them back, but I'm going to leave them hidden. And then we have the sketch that we wanted to do. And I will also show you how it is possible to save that sketch away and reload it at a later time. So I'm going to close the sketch. I'm going to visualize it here one more time, and I'm going to use the save function, deactivate the 3D sketch. As you see, here is the save button, which allows us to choose a name. So I'm going to call it sketch number 3 and save it. It ends up in a UPVF file. And here I can just deactivate it. I can delete it. And then it will disappear. As you see, the hidden elements, they come back because they are now again part of the original file. And the next button, which you can see here, will allow us to select a sketch, choose it, and then we can open it, and it will reflect all the content that it has. It will deactivate the hidden elements that you have here, and it will display again coming from the UPVF file. Another feature that I wanted to show you here is the possibility to create a report. And for this, I'm going to use the new function. I'm going to look first for the name field. I will take it as a first field. Then I'm going to take the drawing name. So I'm interested in the drawing. And I'm also going to take the symbol name and eventually the information if it's a sketch item or not. So these are the fields that I'm going to use in the report. And as you see, also here in the reporting engine, we see all the components that were placed. I can click on any of them and they will highlight in graphics. I can click on the pump and the pump will highlight. And of course, if I want, I can export this report and print it out to Excel. So this is more or less what I wanted to show you from the sketching point of view. As a last step, we are going to create the PDF file. So we will use the save export to PDF command, and we are going to just click OK, and then choose a folder where to place the file. And now UPV creates a PDF based on the data from this PID, and later on we can open the PDF and see the complete content of the sketch also in the PDF file. So this was the first part of my demonstration. And in the next step, I'm going to show you a little bit about the workflow system in conjunction with UPV. As you see, this is the interface of the workflow system. It is all web-based, so there is no local installation required or anything similar. And this also refers to UPV. When I'm going to open UPV, it will also be the web version of UPV. And in here, if I want to create a new ticket, I will click on New Workflow. I will give it a name. I will call it Pump Rework 1. I will select to which plant it should be associated to. I'm going to assign it to myself in this case, but of course I could select another user or even a group of users. I can choose the workflow type. I will call it rework. And then I have some fields which appear based on the workflow type. So this can all be customized by the administrator of the tool. And I'm going to select the discipline that it will refer to, and also the area and eventually the PID if I want, but it's not really mandatory. And here I can define the due date, and dependent how many days in future it is, it will change the color. So I will just save it. If we have a look at the list, you can see that this is my new ticket, which turned orange because we are getting a little bit close to this due date. If I am in a newer date than the due date, it will appear red. But if I will change it and switch it maybe to, I don't know, sometime September and save it, then it will appear in black because it's no longer something that needs to be done, let's say, in the next 3-4 days. So this is the way how you can create your tickets over here. And now I'm going to open the ticket. I'm going to jump to the model. So this is the button which connects automatically with UPV. And I have the possibility to work directly here in this interface. But of course, it is much nicer to open it in a larger view. So we have this maximize button available. We can maximize the complete window. And then I can go to the ticket. I can go from here to the corresponding PID, for instance, just by using the link inside UPV. And then I can start to create my sketch. So I will just create a new PID sketch. I will open the sketch. I will again choose a corresponding color. And then I can start to place the objects the way I did in the regular UPV. I can place, let's say, this circle, which is supposed to be a pump, and place the valves and add the commands and eventually take some other things from the catalog, maybe another vessel that we want to place here in this position. So this is the way we can sketch inside UPV in the browser-based version. And when we are done, we can close, of course, the sketch. We can activate it here so that it's visible. We can revert to the window which displays both the PID with the sketch on the left side and the ticket on the right side. And now we can save the sketch that we have done inside the workflow. And the effect will be that the sketch will be visible inside the ticket, as you can see, so that there is a preview available that can be used and that can be visualized. As you see here, this is a preview from the sketch. It is automatically saved in the workflow system, And also if I look at the list of the tickets, so if I close this ticket here directly, save and close UPV, you see that there is this icon which tells us that there is a preview available, and if I click on it, it will display. And as you see, this is a very nice possibility to save the stuff inside the ticketing system, which we call workflow system. And if I click on it again, I can have all the information that was done. And if I do any modification here, new pump or whatever I do, I can very easily save it, and it will automatically be part of the workflow. Anyone can look inside the ticket and can see it, and it's very easy to work with the complete information. Okay, so this was just a short overview of how you can work with sketches also in the workflow system. And I will now go back to the slides. Thank you for your attention. And I'm going to try to answer some questions now. Let me see. The first question that I see, is it possible to work with more than one sketch? In UPV, in IntelliPID, it is possible to work with more than one sketch. They can be activated at the same time, of course, if they refer to the same PID. Another question, is it possible to store and combine PID and 3D sketches in a workflow ticket? Yes, of course, if you create such a ticket, you could do work both on the PID and in 3D, and you can save both sketches inside the ticket so that they are available later on. And you can also modify existing sketches, and then a new version will be saved. So if we have a look, as you can see here, this is the first version of the sketch. If I would modify the sketch inside UPV, then I would get another version that will be added, and always the latest one is the one that gives the preview function. Okay, right now I do not see any other questions, so thanks a lot for your attention. And please, if you have some more questions or comments, send them to us, and we can also make an evaluation version available if necessary. So please, if you have interest in those features and functions and products, get in touch. Thanks a lot and have a great day. Bye.